Cain is probably one of the nicest guys. He's the epitome of that gentle giant.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Cain is a person that could knock your head off your shoulders, but one of the truly nicest guys that you'll meet. When I first went to AKA and trained with him, I remember it was me, Cain, and Javier went out to eat afterwards. And Cain's that type of guy that went and snuck off and grabbed the bill before anybody had an opportunity to. Just a solid dude, family guy. He's one of those guys that if you had something bad to say about Cain, it's probably you, not him.
But I want to hear more about how that training session went.
The training session was great. It was the first time I've ever.
Did it go well? How'd it go?
What?
He just mangled you up. And
No, there was no mangle. There was no mangle.
Come on, like
There's no mangle. We stayed there and wrestled, and it was after. The only thing I did with Cain was we had like a wrestling session, and it was like they cleared the mat, and we just kept going and going and going and going because they wanted somebody to get a takedown.
Oh, you couldn't sniff a takedown on him?
No, neither one of us got a takedown. We kept wrestling for a while.
Sure, he got you.
We were just there. It was only like about 30, 40 minutes. What do you think about me? That's the fucking problem.
I've been spending time in the dojo, doing all the things that they won't show. No spotlights on me, no photos, becoming the king on the low low.
I think because it's fresh and it all just happened yesterday, is that we talked about Cain Velasquez.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think just basically talk about the process, having conversations with him. And I had him on my podcast, The Wayne In Show. And then I also talked to him, probably just through text a couple times in the last probably month and a half. There's a lot to process.
Oh, there's a lot, yeah.
A
lot to unpack. I talked to some of his team last night. So their thoughts, and which actually made me more comfortable about. I didn't tell them we were doing this, but they just seemed they're good.
Yeah.
So if they were not good, I'd maybe reconsider. But the fact that they're comfortable with, in fact, they seem happy.
Yeah.
With the outcome.
Well, anytime you can put something. Look, let's just go ahead and let's talk about the whole thing. So Cain Velasquez, obviously former UFC fighter.
Not just a fighter, bro. Come on. Heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
One of the greatest heavyweights of all time.
Yes.
Okay.
You're just saying just UFC fighter.
Just to give people a background on Cain himself, Cain is probably one of the nicest guys. He's the epitome of that gentle giant.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Cain is a person that could knock your head off your shoulders, but one of the truly nicest guys that you'll meet. When I first went to AKA and trained with him, I remember it was me, Cain, and Javier went out to eat afterwards. And Cain's that type of guy that went and snuck off and grabbed the bill before anybody had an opportunity to. Just a solid dude, family guy. He's one of those guys that if you had something bad to say about Cain, it's probably you, not him.
Yeah.
So,
but I want to hear more about how that training session went.
The training session was great. It was the first time I've ever.
Did it go well? How'd it go?
What?
He just mangled you up. And
there was no mangle. There was no mangle.
Come on,
there's no mangle. We stayed there and wrestled, and it was after. The only thing I did with Cain was we had like a wrestling session, and it was like they cleared the mat, and we just kept going and going and going and going because they wanted somebody to get a takedown.
Oh, you couldn't sniff a takedown on him?
No, neither one of us got a takedown. We kept wrestling for a while.
Sure, he got you.
We were just there. It was only like about 30, 40 minutes. What do you think about me? That's the fucking problem. Just because I'm a nice... See, that's the thing. That's the problem with being a nice person. You got to be an asshole for people to think that you're dangerous.
Nice. I think you're a super nice person. With that smile, those beautiful pearly whites. I love it. Oh, okay, so let's go ahead and start this over right here. Cain Velasquez, most people believe that he is probably the greatest heavyweight of all time. The reason being that people are not really willing to put him there is because he always was injured. He trained so hard, he worked so hard, and like Bobby said, extremely humble, just great to be around. I'll give you guys for instance, he had never met my wife. I was cornering like 4 or 5 fighters up in Santa Rosa. He drove up with me and my wife, and he didn't really talk a whole lot. We were just talking fights on the way up. But then he had to sit with my wife the whole time, front row, to watch the fights. And I was in the back warming guys up, wrapping their hands, doing this. And I come back out after I had like a little bit of a break between a couple fights. And I just see from across the room, I was like, this dude's trying to take my girl. Like, she's laughing and smiling and this and that. And she just didn't know what to expect. And he gave her a nudge. Like he didn't even really talk to her on the way up. But I guess apparently she's telling me, she's like, he kind of like nudged me. And it was the very first fight of the night. And he kind of broke the ice and he goes, all right, which one you got? I got $1 on this one. And it was just this whole thing that kind of got the flow going. And you know, and he goes like, I think this person because of the ears, and I think this person. So he was like kind of walking her through all this. After watching me fight all this shit, she never really tried to pay attention to any of that, but it was just fun to see. Cause then when I had a moment to kind of interact with them, you know, the two of them there, she was laughing, he was laughing. It was a great feeling just knowing that you had somebody, cause I hadn't spent a lot of time with him yet. He was relatively new. He was like just got into the UFC, but like it was a quick fight. He had one fight and then he was in the UFC.
Yeah.
No one wanted to fight him. And that's how good he was. I remember media coming to the gym because there was so much buzz and talk about Cain Velasquez. Media would come to the gym after he had his Strikeforce fight. Media would come to the gym and just watch him go through Paul Bonatello, Mike Kyle, Justin Eilers, not Justin Eilers, Mark Ellis, just like dismantling them all in a row. I mean, these guys were in the UFC. These guys had success already. Like he would just 2 rounds. They were so exhausted. They'd get out. He'd get to another guy. Mike Kyle would come in 2 rounds. He'd get exhausted. He'd go out. It was just nonstop. And then DC got there. DC gave him a little bit more of a run only based on the wrestling. But outside of that, Cain made him work so hard. Same thing. DC, 2 rounds, go out. You're talking about someone who most people think Daniel Cormier is probably one of the best fighters ever. And Cain, just to watch them train was just so intense. But it was such a pleasure to be in the gym watching them get after each other. And let me just tell you, like, if you think about it, right? Cain Velasquez, when DC and Strikeforce all merged, DC went to 205 because he knew that he couldn't beat Cain Velasquez. He also is my friend. He's my main training partner. I understand the respect part, but the bottom line is Daniel Cormier could not beat Cain Velasquez, and that's a big reason why he went to 205. Cain started making his way out. And that lets you know just how good Cain Velasquez was as an athlete. I mean, phenomenal. And I can't say enough about him as a person, but I guess where I'm going with this is that he had his sentencing yesterday, sentenced to 5 years. I didn't see the thing. People keep telling me that they had 3 years removed. Are they counting the 3 years that he did on house
time
arrest?
served kicks in. Yeah.
Kicks in. So the best scenario I think that we could have gotten. So the system believes that, hey, we did our part. He did 5 years, basically is what it'll come down to. He'll probably get out within a year. So hopefully middle of next year of 2026, he'll be able to get free. So basically he'll serve a year. Everybody I've talked to that works, I had people that I trained that worked, they were correctional officers. They said when he was in there for the 10 months or 11 months before they gave him bail, they said this guy is the nicest guy and the most respected guy inside the jail. They go, everyone loves him. There's no one has anything bad to say about him. Everyone, they love him. And it goes exactly how it was in the gym.
Before we start talking about it, I think it's important to tell everybody what the case is. Because even I know
I was still hyping him up, dude. You got to let me get to it. I was still hyping him up.
We can spend the whole show talking about how great he is. I mean, because that's.
You knocked me for not giving him enough due, and then all of a sudden now I'm like giving him his.
How does every time we start talking, the gun goes from here to here with you every single time? We're on the same team.
Okay.
Yeah, Josh.
I believe you.
Yeah, no, good call though, Bobby. Like I think we all know his greatness is. People saw it with their own eyes. I love the background. You know, people's personal interactions. I think that's a nice little touch because that's what people don't know. Right?
Oh yeah.
But he's the man, and but good call, Bobby, to kind of get into it.
Yeah,
there's a lot to unpack here.
What happened in the case? What can we talk about so we can explain to everybody what the situation is?
Okay, so he had his son was being watched by a couple that had like 4 acres? I think like a 4-acre farm type thing, like ranch, and they ran a daycare out of there. It was a pretty prestigious daycare. And they had a pretty big group of kids. They were making a pretty good amount of money every year. Like people talked about it in this town, Morgan Hill. It was a pretty big daycare. It was very popular. Anyways, his son was in there. Well, it just so happened that the husband and wife, their son was always going through problems, drinking, having issues with the courts, with the law, all this other stuff. It was basically a problem. But because he couldn't, basically at 40 years old, couldn't get established for himself, he was living with his parents at 40 years old. And it just seems like and just so we're clear, it seems like it's not just Cain's son, but it was multiple kids that were afraid to come forward, but multiple kids had been sexually assaulted by the 40-year-old son. The crappy part is that Cain did it the right way, and then they had him investigated, and he went, and their charges were put against him, but nothing was done in terms of, they released him with no bail. And so then once they released him, Cain found out when he was going to be released, went down, followed him basically in his truck, and just basically was so enraged that they would let him out without any bail and just get back into the school, but get back into the daycare system. He's going back to the house where the daycare system is being run. And Cain just couldn't handle it. So he basically followed him, pulled up alongside the mom and the dad and with him in the back, and started shooting at the car. And so it basically putting people, and was a 4 mile, I think it was a 4 mile long chase through Morgan Hill and areas, shooting at the vehicle. Unfortunately, he didn't hit the guy, but that's kind of the sum up the case of that. He was arrested and moving forward. So then they still they're still going through the process of trying to file the charges against the guy, and they've already filed the charges, but they're waiting for his court. See,
I think his trial's in June.
Yeah. So because Cain kept trying to push his off, and they were trying to push it off because they wanted to get a verdict on that guy. If they got a verdict on that guy, then it would be like, hey, this was all for good reason, and you guys as the system let us down by letting this guy out and back into a daycare where he lived. So that was more of the issue and the problem from everything that I understand after talking with Cain, after talking with family and everything, is he was more upset at the fact that you're going to release this guy into the custody of his parents where he lives and they own a daycare, and he is being charged with sexual assault on minors.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The system is broken. It failed. I think if you're for certain charges like that, man, I think got to change the law, got to protect, right? You can't just let someone go right back.
Yeah. But you have to think, right? If I let you out, knowing that, hey, we've got charges brought against you, who's to say you're not just going to walk down the street and grab whatever random kid you can, knowing that you're already screwed, and just cause as much damage as you can to as many people as you can because you have a mental illness.
Sure. Because usually in these cases, it's never just isolated.
No.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a case of I'm already screwed. I think it's like you said, it's a problem. It's an addiction. Like that's like saying because I got arrested for something and they let me out, I'm not going to go back to it. You're going to go back to it because it's an actual problem. And if this guy's not admitting to the problem, then the problem is going to continue to happen. So he has a problem to mess with a little kid. You have a freaking psychological, mental. You have a breakdown somewhere in your deal. And I when I was working with little kids, we had to read the case files of the kids that were in our ranch because I worked at a ranch where they brought kids that got pulled out of their house, and we had to basically just live on the ranch with them and take them through life. And we had a rotating schedule, the guys at the college, and one of the kids had a sexual problem. He was sexually molested. And then he started carrying on those characteristics afterwards. And I remember this kid, like we took him to the pool one time, and this kid was like, he'll see like little kids over here. He was 14, but he looked really young. And you would see him, and he would be standing over here kind of by himself. And the next, he'd be standing over here. He'd be standing over here. And then it was like it was almost like he was like stalking these little kids. And you would see him like he'd be in the water like this kind of by himself. And then he'd be looking around. If nobody sees him, he'd move and he'd move and he'd move. And I don't know if this problem was going to continue on. This was several years back. I don't know where this kid went to this day, but we saw it as staff. We were like, hey, no, come here. And we had to pull him out of the pool because he would have these issues. He had issues when he was at the ranch where he would like be doing things he shouldn't have been doing, but he would have his door open so other kids can kind of walk by to see it. He had a problem. There was a problem with him. And if you don't fix those problems, then that problem is going to continue to happen. So the fact that this guy that Cain had this issue with is still on the street, they're not solving the problem.
No,
they're not, because they're not admitting to the problem. If they're not admitting to it, it's going to happen again. And he's going to get somebody to be quiet and let him do it.
As I was reading yesterday, just doing a tremendous amount of just research and trying to look into it further, I found this fact. A doctor was out there saying pedophiles and other people like that, one of their big issues mentally is they lack empathy. They don't feel bad about anything. Again, that's why they keep doing it, right? And that's why we can't let them out there again. And because it's very difficult, like that's their dysfunction, so to speak, right? Is the fact they have this illness, and then they have this, they lack empathy. They don't feel bad. They keep doing it.
Yeah, there was, so I used to give speakings at the juvenile hall in San Jose because I was in there at one time when I was younger. And so DC had done, and I had done it, Cain and I had done it. I'd done it myself several times. One of the kids that was in there, the youngest kid they had ever had in the juvenile hall, was 11 years old, at least at the time that I had been visiting it. And he was in there because he had sexually assaulted his sister. But the reason he had sexually assaulted his sister is his parents used to sit him down and have him watch porn and tell him, this is how you treat a woman. This is how, if you want to be a man, this is how you have sex. This is what you do. And then they would have sex in front of him and tell him to watch. That's the breakdown that I got from the judicial system or the juvenile hall, saying that they were watching. So he didn't know he didn't know any better. And that the parents did this to him. So how do you go about fixing a child who's been through that type of trauma?
Yeah, it's sad, man.
And so seeing that it's that, like, what this guy and Cain's son, how do you relate the two? Like, how do you get Cain? Like, how can Cain get to his son and still get through to him? He spends tons of time. The one person that you look to protect you is your parents. Yeah. And as a father, like, that's the hardest thing, I think, for any father to swallow, is that you weren't there to protect your child. And we had a conversation about this, and when that guy slapped that girl for bad talking his daughter or his son, or bullying his son, I tried to be very clear. Like, you don't know what goes through a father's mind when somebody is doing that to your child. Now, I know that there's a difference between bullying and sexually assaulting a child, but that rage is still the same. Don't talk to my kid that way. Don't bully my son around that way. Do not touch my son. And we don't, like, as a father, that's the one thing that I fear the most, is that I wasn't going to be there to protect my child. That's hard.
In that situation, still with that situation, I'm the father of the girl. You're looking at the father of the kid. I'm looking at the father of the girl. So either way, there are going to be two enraged parents that want to have some justice. And you use the term street justice, and I think in this case, like, everybody wants street justice. How do we handle this case without putting ourselves in jeopardy? Because now let's take away from Cain, and let's go on the other side. How old is his son now?
Oh, I think he's like 7.
Yeah,
it might be 7.
It's man, you got to think of how challenging it is for that kid, because that kid can almost have guilt because of this. My dad's going to jail because of me. There's a lot of things that you're going to have to deal with in that situation, and it's all because of this, man. Because first, his dad, like, this guy could have been like, "Don't tell anybody, or bad things are going to happen." I don't know what the situation was, but he could have been saying things like that, and then when the situation did go, look what this kid does. He was right, because I spoke on this situation. Now my dad's going to jail. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of other things that are going to come into play with this. But case.
I think when Cain gets older, little Cain, when he gets older, he's going to realize that my dad did whatever he could to protect me. Like, he's going to realize that my dad loves me so much that, like, he didn't care about the circumstances.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that it would be worse if he was in jail for the rest of his life. He'd probably then feel more guilty. But at this age, knowing, I just put a post out this morning, because it took me a while to wrap my head around all of this. And I said, 5 years, 3 years served, 2 years basically in probably get out within a year and early release.
Yeah.
The main thing though about all of this was that he now knowing within a year, 2 years, he's got a daughter too. I think she's 12, maybe even 13. He'll be able to walk her down the aisle. He'll be able to go to his son's games. He'll be able to be a part of their life. And I know it's not the circumstances that we wanted in terms of what he did. And he even said, like, I got to take responsibility for my actions. I understand what the court's going to do. And, this was before he got the sentencing, but there's a lot that went through his mind, I bet. And a lot of the conversation was about, I want to be able to walk my daughter down the aisle. I want to be able to see my grandchildren. I want to be able to hold, my son one more time. All of these things that he wouldn't have been able to do had he got the 25 to life or the 30 to life, whatever it was. I'm just glad he gets to experience all those things.
Right. I agree. And that's why this was really the best possible outcome. And we talked about street justice. And of course, when you go on there, everyone's like free Cain and this is bullshit. And that guy, and this ain't a movie.
No.
This is real life. This is this is playing out. And look, hopefully justice will be served. I felt it was served yesterday. They're happy with the outcome. Again, this was the minimum. The judge gave him the minimum, factoring all those things in. Hopefully when the pedophile goes to trial in June, justice is served there. And I think we got to wait, right, and be a little patient to see how this all fully plays out. But what a terrible situation that the family didn't deserve. But given everything that's happened, as you said, the best possible outcome wasn't him killing the guy, because their kids wouldn't have a father.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? I mean, when you said earlier, fortunately or unfortunately he missed, I'm like, well, there's a couple ways to look at it. The most important thing, like what these kids really need the most, is their dad around. Not dad doing life in jail, because that's only going to cause more problems for the kids, right, Bobby, like you said.
Yeah.
So in a crazy way, I mean, this whole situation has been tragic and sad, but I do feel like it's starting to, Cain's going to be out soon. He's going to, like you said, he's going to be there for his kids. His kids are actually going to have their dad home soon.
This is the thing, though, when this whole case was, this is the thing that really bothers me the most. There were several other kids that parents had known that their kid was molested and decided not to join the case with him because Cain was too high profile of an athlete or a person. They didn't want their kids to be drug into it. So they're not filing charges. I'm just like, you are fucking cowards.
Yeah, because
that to me is the number one thing. Like, your job is to protect your child. Your job is to do what's the best interest of them. You think by not making this man be held accountable, you're going to be helping to ruin other people's lives.
Yeah, there's a lot of victims that don't come forward, children, women, because of shame, right?
It was mainly the fathers that were saying they didn't want their kid because they would probably feel less of a man. The problem is, like, this is how you get these people off of the streets.
Yeah.
And for the men and the wives or whatever, not to step up and be like, hey, look, if you want to file separate charges, I think, so you're not drug into the limelight, but you should still be filing charges against this person.
Because most of these, they say with all the research, most of these don't get reported because of that, the stigma of shame and fear. And
do you think it's just it's an ego problem for the parents? Is it because they feel like they don't want to be looked at, they don't want to be looked upon like, oh, I didn't do my job, or like,
sure.
And these are not always it's not always their fault. Like, look, if you decide to leave your kid with your brother and your sister, and that they're, something's wrong, then that pretty much is on you. But if you take your kid every day to a prestigious daycare and you just assume that everything is okay, I mean, that's not something I would. That's definitely not your fault.
It's definitely not his fault.
Yeah.
I mean, look who. So really effed up it is. I mean, this guy you obviously know who this kid's dad is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I've seen other things out there, again, like these memes or these, these reels where it's like, hey, dad's got to get tough and bulk up because all these pedophiles have said, oh, I looked at who their dad was and I backed down. Have you seen those?
I have seen something, yeah.
And I'm like, well, guys, clearly,
look at
again,
kids that are vulnerable.
This ain't a movie. This ain't the internet. This is real life. And here we saw one of the most dangerous men in the world this guy is that demented. This guy is that effed up that didn't even scare him.
No.
Look at it. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like a feeling they have over others. Like I can control you and control, basically have something over your dad or your mom or your
and
family.
again, they have no empathy. They lack the ability to feel like bad. Like, what am I doing? This is wrong.
To think.
Right.
When we were talking about something before, and I'm big on this because we got to fix the root of the problem. That goes all the way back to kids, right? So if we look at the problems back as kids, we have to let kids know the magnitude of things that they do. And I think a lot of times kids don't know. Like we had the one where I talked about a friend of mine that her kid went to school and got caught with a vape pen. You know, in a situation like that, if you just punish that situation, then that situation the kid doesn't understand the magnitude of the whole situation. But if you show them everything involved, like, and I told my kids this, I said, if you would have went to school and got that, they wouldn't have just said you, they would have said, you know, at the time, WWE star Bobby Lashley, or pro wrestling star, like my name would have got drug into it. And then I'm building a legacy for our name. Our name gets tarnished. So you're talking about generations and showing people the magnitude of what and how many people he's gonna affect by the things that he does. This guy that did that to Cain's son, look how many people he's affected. There is a bunch of people, and there's so many different layers. And I don't think, you know, as demented as he was when he was doing this singular thing, he only saw this. He didn't see all of this that he was going to be getting into. That's why I'm like, man, there's healthy fear is a damn good thing. And in this situation, we don't get that because somebody else is dealing with this same situation, is watching this man that did this act get away with it this long. When did this happen? It was 3 years now? 3 years ago. Yeah. And this guy is still walking the streets.
Yep. And they moved out of the town. They sold their house. They moved out of the town. And now they live in another town where people probably don't even know that he's there. He's just there walking around doing whatever. He hasn't been found guilty, so he doesn't have to register as a sex offender. Literally just walking around the streets.
Healthy fear is not a thing. Like, for me, I know I'm not the most, this is not the popular decision, but I'm okay with like hard justice and having people see it, because man, we got to get to the point where people are not only this is wrong, but I'm not going to do this because of what's going to happen to me if I do this stupid act. And kids know it when they're young. When I was working with those kids, I was working with Class A and B felon kids. I was in a situation here before. And when these kids were talking about, they were like, oh, I'm just going to get juvie. I'm going to go here for 30 days and I'm going to be gone. And this, like, they were like brushing it off because they know that they're not going to get in trouble for anything that they can do. They're going to find a lawyer that's going to get them out, and they're going to keep moving and just doing something else and doing something else. It's ridiculous. I have houses, right? I have property. Somebody was applying for one of my properties. We got to do a background check. We saw this guy's background. He had 29 criminal offenses. How do you even get to 29 criminal offenses? Crazy. At some point in time, somebody had to hit the hammer down enough to say, I'm not going to do this anymore. But obviously not, because he's got 29 offenses. I don't care what it is. 29 arrests or offenses, that's out of this world. Right? The system is crazy. We got to start like slamming the hammer down on people. And then now people will say, you know what, I'm going to think twice before I make this ridiculous act or this stupid decision, because it does affect a lot of people and it does matter. And I can't get my ass in a lot of trouble if I do this stupid act.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because as we're having this conversation right now, what's going on like in the government right now is we deported a bunch of gang members to other countries. And our politicians are complaining that because when they got back to their countries shaved their heads, put their head down, make them walk, so the cameras can't see their face. And they said, this is inhumane. Our politicians are fighting for them to be treated more humane. I'm like, they're literal criminals that have killed people, sold drugs, had people die by their drugs being sold, all of these things. And you guys are fighting for them more than you're fighting for the people of your country that are having things like this done to your kids. It's ridiculous. The next thing is that, from what I understand, now obviously this all has to be proven if he's found guilty, that the parents knew that he was doing this to these kids. But because they didn't want to stop losing their money from daycare, because it was a pretty big daycare, that they basically just looked the blind eye. So after all this came to light, the bathroom that he used to do it in, they had the whole bathroom gutted to get rid of any of the DNA. They gutted the tile, they gutted the walls, they gutted the shower, they gutted it all.
What?
Yep.
Yeah, I
So
saw them make a statement yesterday, the family, and they were obviously disappointed with the outcome, with the sentencing. They wanted more, and they just said they were going to clear their son's name in June. And it just made me think, like,
Clear the son's name meaning what? To say that he didn't do it?
correct. Yeah, they're maintaining his innocence, and they were disappointed in the verdict.
So they think Cain just went to ruin his own life for absolutely no reason.
Yeah, they wanted. Yeah, they weren't happy, and it just got me thinking, like, man,
What would be their justification? I'm trying to understand this part of it. Cain on top of the world, great family, makes great money, humble, completely nice guy. He's going after your son for no reason.
apparently, like, I don't know enough about his particular. I mean, we know, that. I guess I haven't done enough research on the full scope of the trial in June for this guy, right? Henry Gallard or something.
Yeah, Gallard. Yeah.
And I just saw his family make a statement, and I just thought, man, for a moment, just putting myself in their shoes, like, is this
Is this a hill you want to die on?
right?
Because
Is this just blind love for your child?
It is.
Right?
I think it is.
I have to protect. That's when protecting your kid can potentially, it's like this double-edged sword, right?
Yes.
We saw what Cain's instinct was to protect his child. And I think we can understand that one better,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
We get that. I think every parent understands that one. And now switching gears to see these parents defend him, right? Like they're going down for this with him. And I'm like, man, that's that protective instinct, but perhaps not in the right direction almost, right? But we can understand, like, I'm not saying I agree with it, but I understand it. It's like, no, I love my son and I'm going to protect him. This is our form of protecting him. Mm-hmm. I'm like, man, this is just...
It's their form of protecting their son also.
Right.
Because a lot of times parents don't want to hear that. I had this conversation a while back with women. You know, if you're dating older age that already have kids, when you meet some of these women that have kids, they want to defend their kid no matter what. Their kid can do something almost like right in front of them, and they no, he didn't do that. He didn't.
Yeah.
Like I had a family member that was victim of that. Every time,
dropping no names, man. I don't want them to come storming in my house.
Every time when a particular kid would do something, he could get caught red-handed. And there was one time he got caught red-handed, and we're looking at the film, and she's like, I didn't see that. And it was like, are you kidding me? Like every step, like this kid got charged for several different things. And let me tell you one story. The kid was in a store. Mom was in another store by it. They go walking out of the store. They see the kid running, and cops running by them. She said they're watching them run after him. And then afterwards, she's trying to find a way that he's not wrong. And what he did is he had some headphones at the store. And then his story was he had the headphones on. He forgot he had them on. And when he actually goes walking out of the store, they were like, hey, stop. And he instinctively just started running. So they were running after him.
Interesting.
That was
I guess lesson is like when the cops yell at you to do something, just do it.
You should
yeah,
run.
if you want to avoid any of these type of problems.
But that's the situation, is that they have that whole mama bear effect where like my baby, because I think sometimes women that are, especially when you're single parent, right? Because they go over your house, then they go over their house. So both parents are trying to be Disneyland parents because they want to earn this kid's love. Mm-hmm. It's my kid. It happens often. They go back and forth. That's one thing that I'm happy for in my relationship, because I'm like, no, we're on the same page. So you can't
gotta be the same team.
And I always tell
like how
people,
Bobby and I are on the same team for the pod. Yeah. Like you got to be the same team with your baby mama.
You have to be, because if not, then the kids start manipulating each other and they go back and forth. And a lot of times when you meet one of these single parents, you see their kids, and their kids are bad because all the parent is trying to do is like justify their parenting. No, he didn't do that. He didn't do that. And it's hard. As parents, we have to, and you guys said this before, and we talked about it in our in our text message, I'm not my kid's friend. I'm my kid's parent. And I think that's hard for some parents to do because they're thinking, I want to be buddy with them. I want to have this great relationship here. And they forget about being parents to their kids. And I think that's something that's very important. So the root of this problem all the way up is like, yes, we want to be parents and we want to have good kids, but we have to hold our kids accountable for the things that they do when they're young and explain the magnitude of everything that they do. If they don't, then there's problems that are just going to keep on
keeping on. Yeah. I guess where do you lay on, like, how would you guys have handled this situation? I mean,
oh God, I pray we never have to know, but
I would just put them on me. I'm going to go sit in the cell. I'm sorry. I like in sweet justice, and I wanted to be the devil's advocate and saying, well, Cain should have handled it a certain way, but I'm sorry.
He said he should have handled it a certain way,
a
different way. Yeah, we all know that, but
I would be in jail, period. I know I am, and I will accept that. That's my responsibility as a dad. I would tell my kids, hey, look, daddy has to go away for a while, but I'm going to jail.
Yeah,
we still have the podcast. We can do it. We can do it through jail. We can do it through jail. I might be on the high profile jail. I might be able to have Zoom, so I could zoom in.
Hey, Tupac made a record from jail, man.
Yeah, I'm going to put some money in your commissary, Bobby. You'll get some snacks, man.
I just want moon pies.
I think everyone understands that, right? Every parent, every father, every man understands that instinct and that reaction. Again, it's tricky because your kids need you, right? It's tough. It's the worst situation, man. There is no, you know what I mean? It's that messed up. It is that messed up where it can continue to go bad. I mean, in this case, something very tragic and despicable happens to a family that does not deserve it at all. And then it just gets worse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now it's finally starting to get better because it's over and there's closure and you realize the outcome was actually
probably the best possible.
Yes. Yeah, so you're starting to feel like, okay, they're finally catching a break. But it just got worse. Like, again, worst case would have been
25 to life.
Yes. And you don't know your kids.
But best case, like you said, your original question, how do you do it where you don't get in trouble? What do you do? He was supposed to just wait for the courts to.
He tried. The system failed him. So we understand.
3 years later, the guy's not in there. So
what you do is you go watch that movie, Law Abiding Citizens, and you figure that shit out. You see how he played it out. Next, cars are exploding, people are dying. This is how it
That's
goes.
a great movie, by the way. That's a great movie, right?
That's fantastic movie.
Butler, right? Gerard
Butler.
But see, again,
you plan this shit.
Life
out.
ain't a movie, though.
Yeah.
Clearly, life ain't a movie. Kane's a smart, good dude. Life ain't a movie. Life ain't a real. This ain't the internet. This is real
make it like
life.
one, though. Can make it like one.
I think we all would. I guess if there's a takeaway from it, would be you have to do something, but I guess a little more calculated. That's what you're saying.
Yeah,
right? I mean, calculated.
But look,
don't do anything.
No, man.
Calculation is not doing anything.
If you don't have a friend or you don't know a guy that can get things done, bro, then you need to start meeting. You need to get out more.
Yeah, but Bobby, Josh ain't saying you don't do anything. He's just saying,
that's definitely not what I'm saying. Just saying, you don't let your emotions get the better of you. You just take it all in, and you let it come to you. It'll eventually happen.
And for those that want to judge Cain, right? Because there are a few.
I saw
it's
this.
Like judge him how? What do they say?
Oh, that he deserved it. That he deserved more time.
Based on what?
He was
just their value system.
They're saying that he didn't do it. They're saying that he shouldn't have acted the way that
they're saying he shouldn't have acted the way he did.
And so they're agreeing with the situation that happened before it. So they understand where he's coming from, but they're saying he shouldn't have acted.
Yeah, they're saying
because if they're saying that didn't happen and Cain just acted maliciously after somebody that he didn't know, that's one thing. But they're saying that this actually happened to his son and he shouldn't have acted.
They're not saying. They're not even getting into that. They're just. The discussions that I saw are just. They're just comments basically, or people in the media. A couple people had posted something saying like he basically shouldn't have done anything that he did. Just let the system take care of it. And and being reckless could have killed more people and this and that. I mean, he was pretty close to the vehicle and shooting at the vehicle. Like
you said, he himself acknowledged it was the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
That's him admitting what he's learned during this time. But
should have called me. I know a guy.
We'll find out. Hey, those that back and defend the system, because we need law and order. I think we can all appreciate that. Something goes wrong. If I need the cops, I'm calling the cops.
Yeah.
You're
calling people with guns.
Yeah. So I think we all understand the need for law and order, right? Yeah. But we'll see how the system plays out in June with this guy. I want to see those people then that are like, hey, let it. Because if the system continues to be broken, then what are you going to say?
Would it be different if it wasn't in California? That's what scares me. Like, I honestly believe that he got a lighter sentence because he was in California. Cain.
Yeah,
I think he got think about this. Cool. He's got brown pride tattooed on his chest. His parents came over here and were working here when they were, illegally. And then, he was born here. He worked. He went to college, got an education, All-American wrestler, UFC champ. Like, he worked from the ground up. And I really believe that is the token stone of what this country was about. And so I think that they looked at all that, plus all the letters that he got. He got hundreds of letters or whatever it was.
People love Cain. I think the judge cried apparently when he read the verdict.
Oh, wow.
That's what I was reading, because there weren't any cameras allowed, right, in the courthouse.
No, there wasn't.
He was emotional and said, the worst thing you can do is separate a father from his son. And that's why I'm giving you the minimum. I cannot go lower than this. Like, I can't. This is the least I can give you is what I'm doing for you. I got chills
right now just hearing you say that, because I didn't see that or hear that. But yeah,
I saw one thing, and this is something that we can talk on. I mean, it's a stupid comment, but let's talk about it anyway in this certain situation. And I even said this at one point in time with it. I would have wanted to get my hands on this guy. Like, it's my sinister side. I think a gun is very impersonal for me. If you do something to my kids, I want to feel.
Wow, that was pretty good, Bobby. Like, that was on command. You just did this, and it went like that. Did you get that audio? That was awesome.
I want to feel it. And Cain being himself. Now, would the sentence be any different if he would have let this guy come out and actually physically put his hands on this guy? Because Cain could kill a person,
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
With his hands. Somebody said, like, why didn't he do that? Why did he grab the gun to just go and do it? I guess when you're seeing red, you don't really think rationally. So
you just want to bring bodily harm to that person like they did to your child. That's all. That's
suffering.
Exactly what
you want them to suffer.
Yeah, you want them to.
I want to feel it.
Yeah. I mean, the law-abiding citizens would have been the best way. Like, put them in a warehouse. And I mean, look, there's other options too. I think there was another one. I can't remember the name. Remember the movie, The Town?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
You can't ever ask me about it again.
Yeah. Let's
just go. Okay, whose car are we taking? Like, if you don't have a buddy like that, bro,
that's appropriate.
You do now.
Yeah. My friend would have came over and be like, hey, here's the guy. We'll see you later. Close the door.
Yeah. I mean, like, for me, honestly, like, my ideal dream of that, if it was to ever happen, I would just lock you in a room with no food and leave one bullet inside a gun and just keep you there until you decide to do it, just so I can get the pleasure of you starving yourself to death until you decide to
we spoke about this the other day when we talked about these, right? All these videos that are popping up. Of people going after these guys. They're doing the setups.
Oh, yes.
And then we talked about, man, there's kind of a part of me, and I think we all agreed, that would want to be involved in this, going to get these guys. This is the lowest of the low. These are the worst people on the planet.
I'm going to create an Instagram account with an AI girl and just start hitting up everybody and be like, yo, what's up? Let's meet up. And
well, that's what they're doing, right? They are getting these guys. And again, what we saw was
I'm 17, I'm 14.
Some of these guys have families of their own. It is like,
there was a prestigious writer / like director or something. And they caught him out. He was there to meet some 15-year-old girl. Yeah, I think it was with Bradley Martin. I think it was. Yeah. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you here? He's like,
Bradley was part of the group.
Yeah, Bradley was part of that group.
Okay. Yeah.
We have to do as us. I had this conversation with my daughter too, because if you think about it with them, they know what daddy's going to do. So that might even scare them even more to be afraid to tell you.
Oh no. that conversation needs to be had like from the time the kids were young. Like we have this conversation with my daughter and my son. If anyone tells you ever, don't tell your parents or something bad's going to happen, that means that they're lying to you. That means that they're trying to hurt you or they're doing something to hurt you. You need to come and tell us. Yes. We will never be mad at you for anything. That's the conversation you gotta have it from the get. If an adult or anybody ever tells you, you can't tell anyone because they're going to get in trouble, we'll get in trouble, all of this, that's a lie. You come and tell us directly, right there on the spot, and we will tell you 100%, you will not get in trouble. You will not.
We say the same thing, including like no one's allowed to touch you.
Yes.
Nobody.
You know,
nobody. Yeah. I don't care if it's a family member, because unfortunately, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but that is extremely common as well.
78 or 80% of most sexual assaults on children are family members.
Yeah, it's someone close that.
You know what's sad, right? And I know I've had this conversation with you guys plenty of times. We've talked about on the show is that I do not let my kids do sleepovers. I don't give a crap who it is and where. I love all my family. I almost feel like I don't want to put anybody in harm's way of that, whether you're mentally ill or not. I don't want my child to be put there. I don't want to take the chance. That's something that I feel like I have control over, to not put my child in that position. So don't allow it to happen. What's your kid going to get mad? Oh, I didn't get to stay the night. Oh, well.
I'll bring you back first thing in the morning.
Yeah, right. I'll bring you back.
There are several professionals, law enforcement, nurses. They say that. Like, I don't know if you've seen some of those as well. They're like, yeah, I'm a nurse, work in the ER, and here are 3 things that I'm sharing with you that one of them was sleepovers.
Yep.
Weird things happen over there.
When nurses,
bad.
Yep. When nurses and doctors and police officers all hit you up, like where we lived in San Jose, before I bought my house, I called up my girlfriend who's a detective for San Jose PD, and I said, "Hey, can you give me all the breakdowns of people in this neighborhood?" She's like, "I shouldn't be doing this," but so she did, and she's like, you don't have anything to worry about. There's no pedophiles in your neighborhood within like a half mile or whatever it was. She's like, there's a lot of domestic violence, like, because there were some apartments that were a little bit further back by the park. She's like, we get domestic violence calls and a couple of car break-ins. She's like, but that's it. She's like, you don't have anything really to worry about. Just check your neighborhoods, check them, see what you can. Like I said, I know a guy.
And sometimes it's the guy you never. Guy just got busted. A father, he had teenage girls, I think, or he drugged them. At the sleepover, he made the smoothie, right? Oh, let me make you my famous smoothies. Drugged
all his daughters
at the sleepover, and one of them like wasn't fully out and exposed it. And you see this guy and who he is in the community, and it's like a total shocker, right? Like, what? But he was doing this, man, and that wasn't the first time.
No, absolutely.
So he drugged these girls that his daughter's friends that he had over for a sleepover.
Jeez, man.
That's what's out there, man. And I hate to talk about it. It's way more fun for us to talk about other things in life on this show, but I feel like it's important, right? Yeah. That's what we're here for, is to learn how to be just better parents. And I don't have answers on what I would do, how would I handle it. I pray that none of us ever have to, but it's something to think about. And I think for Cain, he would probably want us to learn from this, right? Mm-hmm. Don't you think?
No, I agree.
I think learning from it, because I didn't even know what the guy's name was.
That's true. It needs to be more public.
I didn't know what his name was. I didn't know what he was actually charged for, and I didn't know he was still out.
Mm-hmm. He's been out since literally like the next day, 24 hours.
That should have been the biggest thing that everybody's been talking about, is the fact that this guy is just completely walking the streets and hasn't went to trial for 3 years.
Yeah. My takeaway from all of this is to reach out to anybody to know a guy. Okay. you got to know a guy. Okay. If you guys need help with that, I know a couple guys. That's one. 2 is the hard conversation of, like Rich was just saying, talking to your kids at a young age, 3, 2, like at any age, to have that conversation with them. Do not allow anyone to touch you. It doesn't matter if they're 16, if they're your cousin, doesn't matter if they're your aunt, uncle, grandparents. Do not allow anyone to ever touch you. Anyone. And have these conversations. They're tough conversations to have with your kids, but you're doing them an injustice by not. So having that conversation, and letting them know they will never be in trouble for telling you the truth. Like I said before, I had this letter for my son in his top drawer of his desk. And it says, if you ever feel afraid to tell me something, bring this letter to me and I'll know it's serious and you can tell me anything. You won't get in trouble. That little thing gives them that little extra confidence
Power.
to have a conversation with me about whatever it is. So that, like I said, hit me up if you need to know a guy.
I agree with that 100%. Everything you just said. To add to that, I'll go back to the example of a parent's love, a mother's love, and how it can work both ways for good and for bad. We saw it work for good, this protective instinct. Yeah, just, man, if you know your kid is doing wrong, needs help, I hope you can find that help.
Yep.
I hope you can not just protect your kid because you think it's love to protect a child. And in some cases that child turns into an adult. You're still protecting that adult. Again, I get it. I understand the motivation, but I just hope, because that, to me, that's another takeaway here.
Yeah.
Is the other side of this is how your love as a parent can work both ways.
That's very true. And so I'm going to add on to that as well. If you're a parent that knows that your child has been sexually assaulted or you believe they have, you need to report this. Don't let your ego get involved. You need to report it. You need to make sure that justice is served so it saves other children from the same thing happening to them. By not doing that, you're allowing the problem to continue and ruin other lives. Don't let your ego get involved and step in and press charges. Get it figured out. That's what parents do, because your child will eventually get older and resent you for that. They'll think you knew and you didn't do anything. Look at the long term when that child is 18, 19, 25. You're creating more problems for them. You're supposed to stick up for them. You were silent. That's what they're going to hold against you. You're thinking about yourself and your ego, and that is not what you need to be doing. You need to be doing what's best for your child in the long run. Another episode of the Dad Dojo. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys.